Boy, oh boy. I think people are showing up. Very exciting. Mark, hello. I think everyone's starts off muted and with no video, but I would love to see you and hear you. So you can turn on your videos and turn on your sound if you want to, everybody, just like Mark and Sue. And yay. I see we've got Dee here and Becky and Brianna and my mom. Very exciting. The whole crew. Everybody important is here, is what we can really gather from this guest list. Yay. Hi, Dee. Hi, Becky. Hi, Mom. Excellent. And let's see, Brianna's maybe there with her video off, which is totally fine. And Priscilla is our fearless leader. And this is a Q&A with me, which you are all, Door Community Auditorium is hosting this. So on behalf of Door Community Auditorium, I'm Katie Dahl, and I welcome you to the Q&A with Katie Dahl. Oh, hello, I'm very glad to be here and be present for the question and answer session with Katie Dahl. I have never, frankly, engaged in a question and answer session in which I am the subject before, so I'm very eager to discover what sort of answers I have, and I won't know until I know what questions you have. So there's no particular format of this evening other than the titular question and answer. So if anyone has a question, and if we run out of questions, you don't have to worry. I have my list. You may have seen on social media earlier. I have created a list of questions I know I can do well at, so never fear. We have some available. Would anyone like to start out with a question?
I think Sue has a question for you.
Yes.
This might be a very interesting way to start. The question is, who is hotter, Christopher Plummer in the gazebo in The Sound of Music, or Aaron Rodgers doing basically anything?
Oh, this is so hard. That is a real doozy to start off with. Well, I love this question. I really like where this is going. I would have to say, let's see here. I think Christopher Plummer, I hate to say. I mean, he's just that gazebo scene is so dreamy. Like it is, and so I think I have to go with Christopher Plummer on that one. Do you have an opinion, Sue?
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, good. That was an excellent way to start off. Next.
So rank the following four things in whatever way you want to rank them.
Okay.
Writing a song, performing a song, writing a play, performing a play.
Oh, okay. So I could rank them in order of what I could choose anything. Like I could choose most like easiest to hardest or most fun to least fun. Okay. Okay, most fun to least fun. Performing a song is the most fun. And performing in a play is the least fun because I'm a terrible actor. And then writing a play, I think, is more fun than writing a song because I think because I think like you I kind of feel like I can engage with each of the characters in the play in a way that feels like less angsty in my own like brain and heart. Like I feel less stuck on myself when I'm writing a play, because I feel like these characters kind of exist outside of me. And I also think I have put less eggs in the basket of playwriting. Like I think I have as my career has gone so far, I have writing plays has been like a fun side project rather than my sort of bread and butter. And so I think I I tend to come at it with a more of a playful eye. And ideally, I would like to regain my playful eye when it comes to songwriting too, you know? So anyway, that would be most fun to least fun. If I was saying easiest to hardest, I think I would still say performing in a play would be the hardest, but I would say that I don't know if performing or writing is easier or harder. It is so hard to perform sometimes, and it's so hard to write sometimes, and both of those things are sometimes easy too. And it sort of depends on the night. The difference is that a performance is done at some point. Everyone leaves, even if you keep, even if you keep performing, they'll just leave. So yeah, so you can, or they'll turn off the lights, so you can just be, you are by necessity done. But if you're writing something, like you could never be done, you could never declare yourself finished, right? So I feel like the dragging, like the undefined time limit of writing something feels like the real agony. Like, what if I spent another hour? Would I think of the right, would I have the eureka moment? I love that question. Yay. Thank you, Mark. Next. Mom, I feel like you have a little sneaky smirk.
Do you know where my computer classes are?
I don't know.
Can't quite focus, but I'll be back.
Oh boy.
Okay, I have a question for you. Two of my favorite songs for workouts that are just the right beat for my slow pace, but happy bouncy ones are the Ballad of the Lazy Susan and Kathleen. What are your top 3 workout songs?
Oh, I love this question. First of all, Kathleen, that's so interesting. It must just be the right tempo. I think of that as such a like not bouncy song, but I guess it doesn't have to be bouncy really, as long as there's just like a groove to keep you going. I mostly, let's talk about working out. I like working out, which is so surprising because I never used to. And in the last, I would say 3 or 4 years, I have gotten into running, and I did a triathlon, and I'm training for a half marathon, and all this is surprising. And in the last year, of course, I haven't done any of that inside really. I haven't, well, maybe it's not of course, but I haven't been going to the Y. So I've just been outside when I exercise. And so I haven't been using music. I've just been sort of like, the music of nature. So I haven't been exercising to music, but then when on the occasion when I do find myself trying to exercise and there's music, man, is it easier to use to have music around. Like, it really makes you feel like I could keep going.
Mhm.
And the answer is that I usually put on, I don't know what my top 3 favorites are, but I usually put on the Indigo Girls to exercise. Or I put on this band, Crooked Still, who they're like a sort of like a new, newish bluegrass band. And I feel like they, the Indigo Girls, like, you know, have drums on a lot of their stuff, and I'm such a folkie that, like, to me the Indigo Girls are like, you know, at the drummiest end of my spectrum. You know, they're like, the Indigo Girls are super folky compared to the normal world, but compared to me, they're like, whoa, I'm getting so like cool. It might as well be Pantera. But so Indigo Girls are who I put on, because they kind of feel like poppy and they can be going, or Crooked Still. That's my answer. I like talking my way to answers. Thank you. That was a good question. Kathleen, that is so interesting. So what sort of exercise do you like walk with those songs, or what sort of stuff do you do with those songs?
Okay, so I have a recumbent bike that I have
Oh.
on a trainer, either when we're camping out next to the camper underneath the edge of the fifth wheel, and I bike under there.
Uh-huh.
And or walking on my treadmill at home when I'm in the house.
Yeah.
Or this is weird because we've had lots of quarantine time at our house, and when I banished people to the basement, but my treadmill and my recumbent bike are now in the basement. So I go around and around and around and around and around my kitchen counter. So I'll go like 2 miles around the kitchen counter. Or
That's
I can
impressive.
on my recumbent bike and put the iPad on there and watch the Jeff and Katie show. And so since quarantine started, I've been quarantined since like last March off and on, because I work in schools, and so I have lots of exposures to lots of people. So I get quarantined a lot. Since last March 15th, I've been watching Jeff and Katie show and all of your songs and whatever. Went from, I think I've lost 85 pounds now.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Wow.
Amazing.
Yeah. So
You know, the Jeff
you
and Katie
inspired me.
show, the Jeff and Katie show and my live streams did not have that effect on me. I wish that they had. I've been present for all of those also, but somehow it didn't work. That is so cool.
It
Did you ever-
distracts me from like the sweating.
Right. Did you hear about the guy who ran like people have been running like ultra marathons in their balconies and stuff? That is very impressive around and around the island. I see why you like the Lazy Susan song for
Yeah.
around and
Yeah.
around and around.
And it's just the right tempo to get around the kitchen counter. I think it takes about 800 laps for a mile or something stupid like that. But
How did you figure it out? Like you have like a
Fitbit.
Fitbit. I just got this Garmin watch, and it is really amazing to know how many steps you walk in a day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They keep adjusting. I had my second COVID vaccine on Wednesday, and it really wiped me out.
Yay.
Yay, I'm so happy. Yeah. But it made me really feel bad for a day, and now I'm better. But that I've had this thing for 3 days, and 1.5 of them I was like bedridden. So this has a very poor opinion of my activity levels, but I would like to set the record straight. That's what the weekend's for. Weekend with a 5-year-old and a puppy.
Good. Hook it onto the
Nowhere to go
puppy.
but up.
Let her run.
Make her run. What'd you say, Mark?
Nowhere to go but up.
That's right, exactly. I should put it on the puppy. I wonder if that would work. Huh. And next. Mom, you used to have that same smirky look again.
Just motherly pride, and I get to see you for all these hours away from you. So, but I can ask you, do you ever worry that someone thinks that you've written a song about them? Not me, not that song. And maybe you did and maybe you didn't, but they're somehow offended by it, or or are they sure that you wrote about them and they're secretly proud of it? Or who does anybody talk to you about that?
Well, yes, this happens a lot. I think a lot about how people I know um will look at the songs that I write. And sometimes I'm going to turn this light on a little bit more. Uh Sometimes I don't think of it. I'm sure there's a ton of experiences where I don't even realize that somebody would think a song is about them in a certain way, and they do. Like, for example, I have this song called Young Men, and Rich, my husband Rich, said, there's a line, um, uh, taking the earth, and it's like talking about young men, young men, when they live for summer. It's like honey here, it flows sweet and slow and golden through the fields. um Going out drinking, no, anyway, they taking the earth into their hands, feel it spinning like a wheel, spinning like a wheel. So Rich is a potter, and he said to me, it's so nice that I think I just realized that line. I never realized that line, that you had that line about me in there. And I was like, I don't have a line about you in there. And he said, yeah, like spinning, like taking the earth into their hands, feel it spinning like a wheel. And I was like, well, that is a very reasonable interpretation of that song. But no, there was, I mean, in my conscious mind, there is no pottery. But like, so I'm sure that happens a lot. Like, I'm sure that people, to the extent that people who I'm close to listen to my music, some of my very favorite people don't listen to my music, I don't think. But to the extent that they do, I'm sure that happens. And what I really think about in that respect is how non-linear and non-factual songs often are for me. They come from this sort of brew of observations or images or experiences. And so a lot of times, even if a line is directly inspired by a person and I consciously know where that inspiration came from, the other things in the song might not be, about that same person. They might be about a totally different person. So I think about that a lot. Like, oh, you probably think this means this, and it doesn't. So sometimes I directly address it. Like, sometimes I have written songs where I really felt worried about how someone was gonna take it, and I've told them. Uh, but a couple of times I've written songs where the songs were pretty factual and were directly about a person. And if it's at all sensitive, I have to deal with it in advance. I have to tell them in advance, so that otherwise it's too weird to have it be out there and not know when they're gonna hear it or where. And I'd rather just have it be controlled, that I know that they've heard it, so I don't have to worry, and they can air any concerns they have about it, particularly before it's recorded. Because I think about this all the time, people who are really famous and they talk about a friend, even moderately famous. Like, I just heard this poet Claudia Rankine on the radio this weekend, and she was talking about an argument she had with a friend. And I was like, oh, how does the friend feel about this, about this interview? But I thought, but it was important that she taught, I mean, it was helpful to the rest of the world that she used that illustration. So that, yes, these are all things that I think about. And when my friend Neen died in December, who I had written my song Kathleen in about, sort of inspired by her. And she, I wrote it 10 years ago, so she was still very much alive when I wrote it. But a lot of things in that song are not, that song really aimed to get at the spirit of Neen, but not the facts necessarily of Neen. And so when she died and it sort of got bandied around on social media, I've tried whenever I could to make it clear to people that's not, you know, I know those who knew Neen might think to themselves, that's like completely wrong. And that wasn't I wasn't aiming to get it completely right, you know, in that sense. So so yes, I do worry about that, and I do think about it. And sometimes I think a braver artist might worry about it less. And maybe that's true, or maybe that's not, but that's in my mind too.
But brave and kind can go together.
Brave and kind.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's true.
And I
So
don't think without the angst that you get a true song with real feeling in it. So maybe that's important to have that.
Yes. To have what did you say?
Like
To have
that angst about,
oh yeah.
sure it's right or understood or a positive message and not
Yeah.
seen negatively.
No, that's true. Maybe it is. Maybe it helps the songs rather than limiting them. That's a good point. Becky, were you going to say something?
Well, I think so. Our oldest, we first discovered AFT in '91 and started coming to Door County on a regular basis that summer. So our first show was Tongue in Cheek, followed very quickly by Moon of the Long Nights, because we were so impressed with Tongue in Cheek. And our oldest daughter is just 1 year older than you, almost to the day, March 17th.
Oh wow.
And so we've grown up. Initially, we were those unlucky people who only got to come for a week at a time in the summer, and then had to go home and go back to real life. But watching my kids love that theater and all of those productions, and then hearing you talk about your geekiness about it on the Jeff and Katie show, I can't help but trying to make that connection between my own daughter's experiences and the kinds of things that you describe. And I can't help but wonder what that feels like to you to have moved from being a super fan as a kid into on the board and completely involved in the company.
Yeah. First of all, 1991 was also the first year we went, and we were just reversed of you. We went to Moon of the Long Nights first, but it got rained out, and so then we went to Tongue in Cheek. Tongue in Cheek was the first one we saw all the way through. And and just so everyone's on the same page, AFT is what Northern Sky Theater used to be called. This is the theater that I'm very involved with. I think everyone here has a Door County connection except for Mark and Sue, who live in Pennsylvania. But or I think there's also some people maybe without their cameras on. So who knows what people know or don't know. Anyway, the theater, like, I guess maybe a story from that first summer is illustrative of the answer to this question, which is that when that first summer, like after we went to the plays, we went to the White Gull Inn for breakfast, and our Suzanne Graff, one of the actors, was bussing tables, and I was like, mom, 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 that's her. And we said hi, and she was super friendly. And I, you know, in that moment is so indicative of the way that the world is really small, you know, but it feels really big to you as a kid. And in Door County, I think because so many people make their like these pilgrimages here and have there, it's a small town with so there's a lot of big fish in it. We all sort of have, a lot of people have the similar touchstones of places we go and people we know and whatever, vacationers as well as people who live here. And as you, and a lot of my experience of growing up, both moving here like as a citizen and also getting involved with the theater, has been getting to know these people who like were celebrities to me from afar. And I would say that on a macro level, what that has done for me the most is made me feel like nothing is out of reach, like no celebrity, like everyone is just a person, and that like there's really no one that you couldn't become, that you couldn't somehow reach out to, or or get to know in some way. And that may or may not be true. There probably are some people you can't I can't probably like set it in my mind that Barack Obama and I will be friends and then like make it happen. But it is the case that it has served me well to think in that way, like that, because to me these actors and these playwrights were the thing that I cared about the most. Like, and so it was a world that I could enter into, but it was also the world I cared the most about. Like, that's an amazing thing. That's not often.
It is amazing.
It is amazing. It's not often, there's not often a confluence of those things, right? Like,
Right.
so how it is now is, I mean, in some ways, it feels like a family that I've entered into, in that we who are involved in the theater have these common touchstones of
Mhm.
we all come from this, we know the same memories, even though I mean, we don't really, but in some ways we do, like I experienced them as a 8-year-old watching them on stage, and they experience them as 30-year-olds, creating them. But like the theater that I work at now is completely different than the theater that I loved as a 9-year-old, and that's okay. Like it has changed so much, but it is sort of, those memories are sacred to me and are so formative, and I get to live in them so much with these people who know a lot about them and who can round them out, and whose legacy I sort of get to inhabit a little bit and work with. So it's really cool. It's complicated and weird, and a lot of times it's hard to wrap my mind around just how deeply I cared about it and how crazy it is that I got to be part of it. So yes, it is just as nutso as you say.
It seems just like it would be just kind of almost a magical thing to be able to be a part of this thing that you clearly were so enraptured by as a kid.
Yeah.
And then seeing the way my own kids were, and my nieces and nephews, because my sister would bring her kids and we would bring ours, and we'd always all go to the show and all go to all when they were doing concerts in the park on Tuesdays or Wednesdays or whatever, and just kind of groupies and follow everybody around. And it's just been fun to watch that. And then it's been really fun to watch it and hear it through your eyes in your experience, especially over the summer with the show, which by the way was the glue that kind of held me together all summer long. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but anyway, that's just been a really cool journey and a fun thing to watch and just kind of relive. And I have all those playbills too in my office. Running back there going, oh, I have that one, except I don't have the one with Jeff with his hair, but that was the summer we missed. So.
That is pretty remarkable. He had this very long lion mane hair. Yeah, also interesting is that I kind of feel like my place, I mean, I am a performer in the context of the theater, but certainly like my strongest place if you ask me, in that theater is as a writer, like that. And it's interesting, that's not what I would have expected as a 8-year-old. I mean, I would have liked don't you think, Mom? I think I would have liked to be a singer, an actress singer, just like Karen Mull, just like her.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's been cool during this time to be able to be a little bit of a fly on the wall and get a whole lot better feel for the the familial nature of that whole group of people, because I've always suspected it, but it's always been from a distance, from just attending performances and reading snippets in the paper or whatever. And it really truly is what I always imagined it was. And I'm really happy about
Well,
that.
you know, what is amazing that I have noticed, like I wasn't as, I was on the board of Northern Sky, right? Like I have been for a long time, and I wrote a show that they did in 2012, but my involvement with them as an adult has been kind of seasonal, like sporadic, episodic. And then in the last year, and I've really been cultivating this career as a singer-songwriter. That's what I've been, that's what I've been spending my time doing. And when I came into the theater at the beginning of the pandemic, just through random circumstances, like, oh, we need a fundraiser event and maybe Jeff Herbst and Katie Dahl should be the MCs. Like it made me realize how much the singer-songwriter we trade in our own selves, right? Like we are like endless. Here I am. This is a Q&A session about me. Like like everything everything is about transparency, or at worst cultivating a persona. But I'd like to think for me it's about authenticity and about transparency and about honesty and about finding ways to express what's important to me, to the people. It's like all this direct, like me, you. And the theater, if you're a theater, like that's really not the thrust of what you're doing in a non-pandemic time, right? You're doing shows where it's about the shows. And I mean, you do just see glimpses of Northern Sky land being familial, because you come back and you see the same people over and over again. You see them in the park, and that's an amazing thing is in Door County, is to get those little glimpses. But like, it has been such a gift of the pandemic, I think, to have that theater be able to, like, suddenly I'm like, you guess what, theater? Singer-songwriter come to save the day. Here's what we do. We talk about ourselves. It's very fun. Let's go at it. Like, we're going to do it now for the next 18 months. Just talk about ourselves all the time. So I feel like, I feel like that's a really interesting the transformation that has sort of by necessity had to happen. And there's such an interesting personality to the theater, and there is so many cool characters that it's been a logical place to go.
It's been great fun to watch.
Thank you.
Just be able to get a sneak peek at the real people.
Yeah, good. I'm very glad.
Let me ask kind of a follow-up question to that. So for background, I've been involved in the Altoona Community Theater here in Altoona, Pennsylvania, and I was recently elected to the Artistic Committee for the next 2 years, and our job is to select the plays that make up our season. And we do 4 shows a year, usually 2 to 3 straight plays and 1 to 2 musicals. And I want to bring to this committee some ideas that are kind of out of the mainstream. So from your theater, that which does like basically only original productions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you give me like maybe your top 3 shows that have been done there over the years that might be appealing to somebody in central Pennsylvania?
Well, that is a tough one. I will tell you which ones have I'll tell you which ones have been done the most by other places. First of all, there is Guys on Ice, the ice fishing musical. This is a 3-hander, and it's delightful. It's very funny, but very real, and has a lot of heart. And it's a great show. It's like Waiting for Godot in an ice fishing shanty. It is great. That has been produced a lot of places all over the country. the Spitfire Grill
Mhm.
was my collaborator James Velk wrote the music for that, and then Fred Alley wrote the book and lyrics. Well, they both wrote the book. Fred wrote the lyrics, and that has been done by far the most of it. That was not originally a Northern Sky production, but it feels like it because Fred Alley was a co-founder of the theater, and we've done it several times. And so anyway, that has been done over 800 times, has been translated into several languages. That's like for sure our most successful export. That's a much bigger production. Like that's a 4-person pit and a 6 or 7-person cast. So that might be good or is that good or bad to have a bigger production?
That's good.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, of course, the show I wrote, Victory Farm, great, but it has not yet been done. I co-wrote, not been done yet anywhere else. Lumberjacks in Love has been done a lot of other places, and I'd say I put that as probably the 3rd most frequently exported one, and that's a like farce kind of based on Twelfth Night or As You Like It. In a set in a lumber camp in northern Wisconsin, and it's about a mail order bride who gets ordered, it seems, in error. So that is that's very funny and also has a lot of heart and is great. So I would say that those, I mean, add anyone. You guys have any other, you who know?
Belgians in Heaven.
Belgians in Heaven. Yep. That's like also has also, that's a 6-person show with a piano player. Same with Lumberjacks in Love, 6-person show with a piano player. Or you could have a bigger pit if you wanted. And that's about it's like a metaphysical, time traveling, quantum physics musical about Belgian farmers who are reincarnated, Belgian farmer brothers who are reincarnated across many different eras and drive each other nuts, and all of them.
With a talking chicken.
With a talking chicken and an angel. Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I have to say, Spitfire was done by our community theater in the same county, a couple towns over, several years ago. And I didn't really want to go because I had seen it at the Door County Auditorium when it played there the first time, and thought it could never, ever, ever be as good as it was then. And actually, it was really, really well done. It's 2 acts, isn't it?
It's 2 acts. Yeah, that's the only one of these many I mentioned that
Right.
was written as a 2-act. Yep.
And it's an adaptation from a movie, but Fred changed the ending, and it's got Fred Alley's heart all over it. But when it was over, it got a standing ovation, and there were 2 ladies sitting next to me that I overheard say breathlessly, "That's the best thing I have ever seen here."
Oh, that's so great.
It was
Yay.
really well done.
That's so great. I should say Guys on Ice also a 2-act. It wasn't originally, but it has been made into a 2-act. That's awesome. I feel so proud. I've been talking to James lately, and he sent me the production history of the Spitfire Grill, and I just am amazed to look. One time he was like, "Let me see how many productions." He's like scrolling on his computer, and he just has to keep. I was like, "Oh, are your fingers getting tired from having to scroll through all the productions of your play?" It's like, I feel so proud of how successful that show has been. I have no right to feel proud. You know, I was 18 when it was finished, but I do. So yeah, so that's a great question. Yeah.
Much appreciated.
Yeah. That's cool. Maybe I hope I have a chance to. Now, and is that the same theater that I worked with for the President's Play in the fall?
No, that's a smaller venue. This theater, the Mishler Theater in Altoona, is from the early 1900s, and it was destined for destruction. And a group of people got together, they saved it. They refurbished the inside. It looks absolutely gorgeous, like it was, brand new back in the early 1900s. And it's a jewel of a venue. We just don't get enough people to come through.
Right.
Our last big production we did there, the big musical was Mamma Mia. And we did, what was the Shakespeare?
A Midsummer Night's Dream.
Yeah, Midsummer Night's Dream was the very last thing we did in that theater, and then it
Shut down.
for COVID.
Yeah. Cool. Mark and Sue live in this amazing magical part of the country that I had never really spent a lot of time in. It's very mountainous. I was like driving to my gig there, and it was like getting to be twilight, and it was November, and I was like, am I in the right place? Because it's all these, it's very, twisty roads and mountains and magical misty mountain towns, and then it was the right place. Happy ending. And it was a great show.
It was certainly a great show.
Well, it was so fun. Well, I'm happy to answer more questions, but also you don't have to have any more questions. You can, so if you have more questions, ask them.
I have one.
Uh-huh.
I've always wanted to ask someone who is so musically talented and who music is just so much a part of your life. Do you ever go to bed at night and go, wow, today I didn't sing, I didn't hum, I didn't have any music on? Are there days just without music ever? Is it just always in your heart and in your brain?
I love that question. I don't ever notice, I don't think. I mean, I don't think there's ever days when my brain isn't running through songs all the time. Like, not songs I'm writing or songs I'm working on, but songs I love and songs I know by heart, and songs that everything makes me think of a song lyric. Everything. And I know I have a freakish talent for remembering song lyrics. They stick very thoroughly in my mind. And so like I can realize like, oh, I haven't thought of that song in 12 years, and I can have a fun time, just silently or out loud, though my son complains when I sing, running through a whole song, like that I hadn't, I totally had forgotten that I know. Like, to me, songs, I would be fascinated to know what like, when somebody dies, you realize how much you think about them. Like, you realize because you catch on it over and over again, like, oh, I didn't realize you were going to be part of that moment, and you were part of that moment, it turns out. And it really makes you realize how much a part of the fabric of your life somebody is. And I would imagine that if there was some weird mechanism that made me realize every time I thought of a song, like how many times in the course of a day a song appeared in my head, I suspect it is hundreds of times in a day that I think of songs. And so no, I don't ever notice. Sometimes I notice I haven't played my guitar in a long time, and that didn't, for about 5 years that didn't happen, because I was so busy, like up until, but like the 5 years before COVID hit, I would say, like I was playing shows so frequently that there was never more than 10 days or something that I didn't play my guitar. And a few times during the pandemic, I realized like, oh, I have not played that guitar for a very long time. that always feels a little bit weird. I can see my calluses, even though I'm doing a lot of live streaming, they're short, and I'm not doing my monster 3-hour gigs like I normally do. And I can see my calluses are really suffering. They're not very impressive. They're usually much higher. So I realize that sometimes. I love that question. It's interesting to think about. I think it will help me think about it in the next couple of days. Sometimes I feel like a song, I feel like my brain helpfully, my heart, whatever, the universe helpfully drops lines of songs into my head that are useful for me to consider at the moment. Like one time I was having a hard time with a friend. I was feeling really jealous of her and her life and what it was like, and I realized I was thinking about her, and all of a sudden this Joni Mitchell lyric came into my head: the jealousy, the greed is the unraveling, it's the unraveling, and it undoes all the joy that should be. And I was like, oh, okay, Joni Mitchell, like I hear you. I do feel like God talks to me. I mean, I feel like those song lyrics, that is a way of experiencing the divine to me, is that like that undercurrent of music that is in my head all the time. That's a gift, to get those little messages. So I love that. Any other questions? I really am happy to answer more. I just don't want everyone to feel that they must ask more questions when they don't want to.
Okay, here's kind of a person. I also have that.
To do, sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead.
I was gonna
you
say,
go. You go, Mark.
When do you think you'll get a chance to start making plans to tour again?
That's a great question. I've seen some people post tour dates, and it stresses me out. Like, oh, that's a nice thing about the last year is I haven't felt like I'm behind the 8 ball ever. Like, I just feel like no one's doing anything, and me neither. But I've seen people post some things. I have a couple of shows in the works for in-person shows near home for this summer. Outdoors or small capacity or whatever. I have no idea. Like I'm vaccinated now, and it will depend largely on how the norms evolve, I guess, and how venues feel about, like my own safety won't be a concern to me as much. I'll just be worried about, is it safe in general to encourage gathering for everyone, and stuff like that. So I'm really waiting to see how that unfolds. I will certainly not be at the vanguard of that movement. I suspect I'm sure I'll wait to see. I'm sure all the people with fancy agents will start, like, have been booking the shows. They will announce them, and then I will be like, oh, now I can. So yeah, I would love if the answer is this winter, and I feel like that might be the answer. So.
And it's probably going to shift several times before we get to the point where we really feel confident.
Yeah.
I had a question related to talking about music in your head, because I don't know all of them. I get the awful earworms that wake me up or keep me awake, and it's some different song all the time. And I've wondered in the past if people like you experience that kind of thing, if it just is just there kind of all the time.
Yeah, all the time there. I think so. Did you have a question or a thought?
I always have that music running through my head, and my mom and I sang all the time. I love to sing. And we used to play a game where one of us would start a song, and then the other one would interrupt when a lyric or a word or something in the song reminded us of the next one. And my mom and I could go on hours, lots of fun. And because I always sang, after she passed, my husband said, you should learn to play the guitar. Well, I'm old. I was an American Folklore Theater fan, and before that, Heritage Ensemble. I was one of the stump sitters, the little kids that sat on the stump
Oh,
in 1972. So I've always loved the music and the singing, and so my husband bought me a guitar, but I have kids your age. So am I too old to
so
learn
you're
how to
very
play the
young,
guitar?
like my mom. Yeah.
Well, I have kids that are in their late 30s. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Me
but
too.
I got a guitar just a couple of years ago, and I'm trying really hard, but oh my gosh, is there any hope for me?
Well, what are you, I mean, I think for sure, yes, but there is. But what are you finding challenging about it? Is it like what are you finding challenging about it?
Like memorizing things.
Oh,
Having the lyrics, because I don't remember all the words to all the songs, because there's all the songs that I love, all the old ones, the John Prine ones, the back to, the Weavers, and that was another good show, by the way, that
yeah.
he did.
Mhm.
All those old songs, love them, but I have to have the lyrics, and then I have to know what the chord is, but then I have to look at my darn fingers because I can't play it without looking. And then I have to look at which strings do I strum or pluck or whatever. And then I have to like read and sing the words. It's really relaxing. It's a total stress reliever because I cannot worry about, think about, stress about anything else when I'm trying to play the guitar. But I have to have the music and it in front of me because I can't remember them.
Well, I think that like it's fine to have the music in front of you. I think there's no shame in that. And I
Hard to
think,
do that in front of the campfire though.
oh, in front of the campfire. Well, you could get an iPad. A lot of people have iPads for just this purpose. And there's a little page turner app. You can
Yeah.
page turner pedal. You can
Uh,
get it and stomp on it when you want to turn the page or go down on the screen.
No.
Like I always, when I have to memorize things, I always take it in chunks. I have a few memorizing tricks. One is take it in chunks, and get and like I'll try to recite the lyrics on their own. Like if I just want to try to see if I have them anywhere in there, but I try to practice as much as I can with my guitar too, so that my muscle memory is coordinated. So it's somehow like, and I know that works because sometimes if I try to sing something or say something without the guitar, I can't do it. So I know that I know that they are tied together. And I like I also do a thing where I I make myself write out the song um as much from memory as I can, but also I'll just listen to it. I'll not from memory necessarily, but from hearing it. So I'll listen to the song and I'll pause it a bunch and I'll write it down. And that helps me because it's like I have inhabited it or something, I don't know. Maybe that would help. I think there is hope though. I think that's great. Yeah. I have a hope of learning the banjo. In the pandemic, I was going to accomplish so many things, and one of them was learn the banjo. But so far, no good. So far, no banjo learning has happened. But I do have a child who's, still, eating food and waking up every day. So that seems like a win. That's my major accomplishment. Well, thank you all so much for coming. I have enjoyed the chat. Any last thoughts? Thank you, Priscilla, wherever you are, and DCA for hosting this event. DCA is so great, and they have other coffee houses coming up. Hi, Priscilla.
Hi, guys.
Wanna-
I've been just secretly laughing throughout the entire Q&A.
Oh, good.
I actually have a question for you if you
Oh,
have
okay.
time for one more.
Okay.
I would love to know where the inspiration for Guthrie's name came from, because my son is Arlo, so I can only imagine when they're older, you know, and they're like, "Hey Arlo, hey Guthrie," and then But is it from Arlo, or where is it come? Where does it come from?
Yes. Well, first of all, Arlo is the name that Guthrie is mistaken, but Guthrie is my son, everybody. I think you all know this. Arlo is the name that Guthrie is mistakenly called the most in the world. Here, that people say, "How's Arlo?" I don't know, but Guthrie's fine.
It's like, I don't know. I'm gonna text Priscilla and ask
Yeah,
her.
and also, Priscilla, did you know Courtney Scary and Rue Holdman? They moved away from here a little while ago, but their son is named Arlo, and then they named their second son Abe, who is Arlo Guthrie's son's name is Abe Guthrie. So but Arlo, Abe, and Guthrie were like a little triumph. Sometimes they were together, and I was like, it's crazy. It's too much folkiness all at once. Guthrie's name is inspired mainly. Woody Guthrie is the Guthrie that I admire. Arlo's dad, right? Who wrote "This Land Is Your Land," and among many other things. And I also just love the name. Like, I was excited about a name that was easy to pronounce, but not. It's not like a weird name to me, but it's not a common name. I liked that about it, and I just feels like elegant to me, and kind of strong in a sweet way. So that's where that came from. I like Arlo a lot too. I like the name Arlo. So
Yeah.
Go team.
Awesome.
Child namers. Yeah. You guys have some other stuff coming up, yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
So April 22nd, we have a virtual show with George Solwing and Jeannie Coombs. And then we also have on May 6th, a show co-built with Terry Murphy and Joan Lewis, and also Kathy Greer. So really fun things coming up. Of course, we are adapting ourselves, into a more virtual programming right now, but we do have a plan for a summer and fall season in place. Things could change, but we're, like we're saying before, we're adapting as we go. But thank you so much, you guys, for joining the Q&A today. And we're so happy to have some sort of programming and having Katie here with us as well. And yeah.
Yay, it was super fun. Thanks for hosting, and thanks you all for listening and to me, go on for an hour, and thank you for having such great questions. I really enjoyed myself a lot. So it was a nice end to my COVID vaccine reaction week to have a nice chat with everybody. So thanks, and
Thank you.
yeah, and be well, and we'll see everyone soon, I hope. Bye.
Thank you, everybody.